Hey, travelers, Chris and I slow travel all over the world. And when we tell people what we do, they don't get it. They think that we're sipping margaritas on a beach somewhere. And that does sound lovely. And we do that sometimes. But if we did that all the time, we would be so bored. We also get lots of questions about how we find the time and money. So here are 4 myths about the slow travel lifestyle that most people don't know. First of all, what is a slow travel lifestyle? For us, it means traveling the world at a slower pace. Instead of visiting a place for just a few days, we stay in one city for a month or longer and take the time to get to know it. And when we're done there, we might move to another spot in the same country and stay as long as our tourist visa allows us to. Then we go to the next place. We rent an apartment, buy groceries, try to meet up with other slow travelers, and get things like gym memberships. But people seem to misunderstand this life. The first myth is that people think that we're always on vacation, and that is just not true. If I was on vacation, I'd be staying in a nice hotel, going to all the highly rated restaurants, do a whirlwind tour of the city, and then after a week or two, I'd return to my usual routine. With slow travel, we rent an apartment and live pretty normal lifestyles. Because we're switching places all the time, even doing basic things like getting groceries can be kind of difficult. At home, you have your favorite places to buy things. But when you're always changing locations, you have to get used to searching for new places that sell the products you want all the time. And it can be a bit hard or frustrating at times. When we slow travel, we don't rush around and try and see all the sights in just a few days, like you would on a vacation. We do see the sights, but we do it over a much longer period of time. And we can also pick and choose when we go. If we know it's going to rain one day, we can wait until the weather is better before going. Or we can try and go when there's less crowds. But after we tell people that it's not a vacation and we spend a lot of our time just going about our daily lives, people think that slow travel must be boring. They think that once you see all the sights, there is nothing else to do. And we find that to be completely untrue as well. Even though we took early retirement, we still take on projects that we find interesting. Both Chris and I take on digital nomad style work. We get up in the morning, we go to the gym, we work on our projects, and then we spend some time exploring the city. Sometimes it's just for an hour or two, or sometimes it's almost the full day. And we also try and meet up with other slow travelers, digital nomads, and expat types. We love trivia, so if we can find an English trivia night in our new city, we'll go there and try and meet lots of people. It's at nights like that where we can learn about cool things to do and other places to visit. We love the challenges of figuring out a new city and balancing that with the consistency of working on familiar digital projects. Then finding the next place to visit. And that brings me to my third myth, which is that traveling all the time is too hard to plan out. People think that they have to map out every accommodation and plane ticket for the next 6 months, and that is absolutely not true. We usually have very little idea of what we're going to do next. Now, it is true that when you get to a new country, you do need to have an onward ticket in case the immigration officer asks. But beyond that, there's very little that we do. When we land in a new place, the only thing I have is my first accommodation. But after that, it's all up in the air. When we landed in Argentina earlier this year, we had rented an apartment for a month in Buenos Aires. But the rest of the time in that country was completely unplanned. We only figured out what we really wanted to do after talking with locals and getting their perspective. Then we just booked things at the last minute. We only really ever figured out what we wanted to do after talking with locals and getting their perspective. And then we would book things at the last minute. Now you might be thinking, isn't that really expensive? And that brings me to my last myth, that a slow travel lifestyle is expensive. And it certainly can be if you want to stay in the best accommodations and travel to new places all the time. But we've set it up so that it really doesn't cost us that much. We actually find that we spend less money when we're slow traveling than when we're in our home base of Vancouver, Canada. When we travel, we try and choose locations that are more budget friendly. We find a reasonably priced apartment and we don't buy all the expensive tours. We try to eat local food and go to local, lower cost restaurants and markets. We learn how the public transit system works. And since we travel carry on only, we don't buy lots of souvenirs because we don't have the space in our carry on bags, anyways. And when we do fly, since we only have carry on bags, we can buy the cheaper plane tickets. Vacations can definitely be expensive, but in our experience, a slow travel lifestyle is actually cheaper than living in our home base. And we get to have amazing experiences while we do it. And that's our list of slow travel lifestyle myths for today. We hope you're doing well, and we'll see you in our next video.